these guys are going to be playing for right here. And actually, I say these guys playing for, but really, it's just Huck. This is like Bob Barker calling some lady up to the front and one lady playing Plinko, except it's not Plinko, it's StarCraft 2, and it's for a GT660
To
MSI
continue
laptop.
that analogy, Huck has really stepped it up. He has the ability to rig Plinko in his favor, but of course, the evil Idra trying to push that Plinko chip to the outer edges. Man, we can carry that on for a while. Now, oh, yeah, I don't know if any people watch The Price is Right, but maybe.
You obviously do,
I know.
So
I remember in elementary school,
worked.
I would stay home sick, and I'd be like, it's 10 a.m., time to tune into Price is Right.
Barker.
Oh, it was perfect.
Come on down, Chad.
One thing to note. Let's take a look at the brackets to see what players did come to this tournament and how they ended up getting all the way to the grand finals. There we have it. Now, the 16 players who made it this far in the tournament had to battle it out in a 500-plus single elimination bracket. I cannot emphasize enough how hard it is to get far in a single elimination bracket. 2 cheeses and you're gone. But we had a lot of really top-name players. Looking at the left, we had Adaro and All About You, a random and Terran. Machine, of course, from EG, Neens, who's always been top of the ladder, Druby and Hashe, 2 strong Terran players, Druby from Root, Hashe, who always is streaming on TeamLiquid.net. Huck, of course, no stranger to anyone from the team, TeamLiquid.net.
Absolutely.
And Vibe, a little bit of a newcomer into the scene, making a splash, unfortunately being up against Huck first round.
Didn't go very well. And then we had, on the other side of the bracket in the Octo Finals, we had LZ Gamer, who took on Torch. And I would go out on a limb and say, aside from the obvious Kiwi Kaki versus Flush, was probably one of the more entertaining series that we saw in the Octo Finals. Dalism, is that
not Dalsim? I want everyone to notice that is DHALISM.
Yes, versus Zerker, and Zerker did go on to win that one. If then Kiwi Kaki versus Slutch, which was just an early treat here at the EvilGeniuses Master Cup Series for StarCraft 2. Slutch winning that one 3-1 and really like punishing Kiwi Kaki in a couple of those games. And then Axlab versus Spades. That was the first match we did yesterday for the EG Masters Cup, and turned out pretty good. Then we, of course, moved on to the quarterfinals.
Now, in the top left, we have one of the early quarterfinals that we casted, All About You versus Machine. That is a very deceptive score right there. Machine, who did take the series 3-1, but All About You defying what people usually expect from high-rated ladder players who have never played in tournaments. Ordinarily, you get the high-rated ladder players being predictable, monotonous. They have one build they do in each matchup, but All About You actually showing more variety than almost any other player in the tournament. But I think Machine really made people realize, wow, he has been practicing hard. He has stepped it up and took a dominating 3-1 for that series.
Then we had quarterfinal number 2, where Druby took on Huck in a 3-0 amazing set of games. I know that you were very impressed and even went back and forth several times. A couple of those games, one in particular, just amazing.
Really, truly. And I mean, I think that Druby has really found a new little grain of brilliance with his style. For any of you who didn't see it, he literally kept making barracks, kept making Marines and Marauders, and expanded way more than any other Terran player I have ever seen. It's quite a genius style. Instead of spending the extra money to get the Vikings and the factories and the upgrades, he spent all of that expanding and getting more barracks and expanding again with a very mobile but very fragile army that he controlled well. But Huck, who I guarantee you has never seen that style before, still held down geniusly for the 3-0 win.
And you know what? When that VOD is up and available, which is going to be very soon, they'll be on DGWeek.blip.tv. Go to like the very near end of the map, and I looked at it last night, and just take a look at the mini map and go, that looks like a StarCraft Brood War mini map right there.
Yeah,
that's what
insane.
Really interesting set of games. So if you didn't get a chance to see those, definitely looking good. So.
Yeah, and I mean, that was an extraordinarily impressive result. I mean, Druby, who I really think was one of the best players in this tournament, did again face Huck, the 3-0, a deceptive score, but of course Druby did play.
They're great
but not quite great enough. Now, in the upper right bracket, we did have LZ Gamer against Zerker. Zerker, again, another little newcomer to this tournament. And one thing that's very cool about the MSI Cup is that anyone could register for this tournament. A lot of tournaments are invite only.
Which is cool.
And this is very cool to see a lot of the great players, Kiwikaki, Slush, Oxlop, Spades, Idra, All About You, etc., etc. And then you have Zerker and Dalism and Vibe, who are a little bit newer to the scene, but still Zerker, a hell of an achievement, making it to the round of 8. But LZ Gamer was able to play very solidly and combat Zerker's big all-in busts.
And then, of course, we had Slush versus Spades, where Slush took a convincing win over Spades, the Terran. A couple of funny moments in that one as well. And then accelerating this just a little bit, because you saw a lot of this today if you've been joining us for the final Sunday here at the EvilGeniuses Masters Cup Series. We had the 2 semifinals, Machine versus Huk, where Huk did win that one, obviously, to go on to the finals. And then LZ Gamer versus Slush also enjoyed both of those series. We had the 3rd, 4th place between Machine and LZ Gamer, and then the finals that took place just moments ago. Hopefully you caught it. It was Huk versus Slush, and again, some very entertaining games. And let's just check out what these guys won, because there was in 3rd place, LZ Gamer walking away with $250. Slush from Team Root walks away with 2nd place and $500. And then Liquid Huk representing over there, TeamLiquid.net, doing a great job, about ready to get going to another event next week, and then heading off. And he won $1,000 and the chance, right?
The opportunity to win the Notebook Finals, as we are calling it. We already had the Grand Finals, of which Huk was the winner. But here are the MSI Notebooks, of which everything is coming off today. All the games and the streaming. You can even see the VOD recording window up on DJ Root's screen. Of course, I refuse.
That's why it takes so long to join the game. You know?
I know he's always tabbing. He's like, I have to
tab
everything.
We can do all that.
And we'd saying things like, "Oh, but the future viewers need to see the VODs." I'm like, "Hurry up, DJ, you're pending."
Where you're just shoveling the dirt over the VOD,
I know.
never to be seen again.
That's what I do. You see it live, or you're done. It becomes a story that gets told around campfires in the future when we run out of electricity.
Of course, my favorite thing about we're not going to run out of electricity, don't worry. Haven't you seen what hamsters can do and copper and all that kind of stuff these days?
Hamsters and copper, two of the most
be
abundant natural resources, especially in Australia.
We can breed hamsters like mad. Copper tubing, we'll just, go into houses and strip it down. Anyway, one of my favorite things about the MSI GT660 Notebook, Sean, is i7.
I do love an i7. I love the idea. Your future career as a hamster breeder. It's just like, well, I've given up casting.
And copper.
I know where the money is.
Hey,
Don't worry about it.
We're taking the glasses off, so you know it's serious business. I will not let electricity run out. Okay?
Why are you buying 400 pounds of celery? Look, I run a business. Every business needs resources. So either way, we have EG Idra against Liquid Huk. Now, we always have to talk about the history between these players.
Sure.
They did play at MLG in Dallas. Washington, D.C. Dallas is the event next week. And it was kind of funny to watch the players warm up, because everyone logged on and they said, let's just ladder.
Yeah.
And everyone was being paired against each other. And
literally.
It was amazing to see some of the best games of the tournament played before the tournament actually happened. But Huk and Idra did meet in the winner's bracket final, where Huk lost 0-2.
Yep.
Idra had an amazing, solid way to play. Huk's timings seemed absolutely off, and it was a pretty unimpressive showing.
Yeah, going back to that series, too, there was one element to that whole thing that happened there at MLG, and I guarantee you, I felt it. I feel like the players felt it, and that was the patch hit the day before.
Oh, yes,
and these guys didn't necessarily have a lot of time against the patch, and what was strange is that all these people were instantly like, Idra's got the patch going for him.
Yeah,
and Idra didn't necessarily even utilize some of the things that the patch gave to Zerg.
Just ling bang ling
So, there was almost like this mental, like, shit, what am I going to do,
Yeah, totally.
And now that can't be used as an excuse. Whether you agree with that or not, it's no longer even something that you can factor into the thing, because everyone's had plenty of time with the new patch. They know what each race is capable of having come out. It's not an unknown thing like it was at that particular event. So.
And I want to continue to emphasize that point. A lot of Protosses, in almost all their openings, have some point where they move out with a kind of small only cybernetics core unit, right? Zealots, sentries, and stalkers, generally a few more sentries at that point in time. Very standard. But then the patch comes out and people are going, well, I know the Roach is stronger, but StarCraft is not a game about calculating. It is a game about intuition and a game about judgment. And if there is any mental influence that makes you go, I'm not so sure if this push is going to work, you could see the lack of confidence of all Protoss players when they moved out because they weren't quite sure if it would work. And that really came into play for Idra. And as it turns out, Idra literally didn't make any roaches in almost all of his games.
Not until the finals, I think.
Yeah, I think we maybe saw him make roaches in 2
Yeah.
of the 20-some games he played. Again, he's a very, very strong player, but the real problem that the Protosses face is that they lost confidence in their builds.
I really think that was it. But again, I mean,